Hi everyone, I'm Josh.
And I'm Jim, and this is the Dapper Meeple.
This show is about our love of gaming, the games we play, and the gaming community around this passion.
So grab some snacks, pull up a chair, and join us at the table with your monocle and bowler hat. Hey kids, remember, this is an adult podcast and may contain adult language.
Also, the Dapper Meeple outfit, not required.
Hey, have you ever been driving down the I-4 or maybe I-17 and thought, you know what would make this drive a little bit better? If my car had machine guns and there were sandworms. Hey, we got the game just for you.
Of course, we'll be talking about Thunder Road Vendetta in our Games We Play segment.
And then we're going to recap Halloween fun, ideas for drinks, candy, and hey, when you should just stop.
And then we'll wrap it all up with our Crowdfunding Roundup, talking stained glass dice, roguelike games, and just plain Fury and Sea Beasts.
All that and more on this episode of the Dapper Meeple. Hey, so I just want to start this episode with letting you know that if you missed the last episode, I would highly suggest you going back and checking it out.
Yeah, so last episode we had some fantastic Halloween fun with some friends of ours gathering around talking about some of our favorite spooky season games and just having a good old time.
Yeah, this was the first time we tried to bring more than one person on, so that didn't fail miserably, which means we'll probably do it again.
Yeah, absolutely. Next, we're going to have Christmas-themed games and maybe some St. Patrick's Day-themed games.
The episodes write themselves, though that one may be a little rough. I'm just going to go ahead and tell you. And it was Halloween. I know that here in our neighborhood, it's usually a pretty big deal. And we have strived in the house to be the coolest house in the village with our decorations. I had a giant skeleton fighting a inflatable dragon, and our front bush was on fire. Like, it was awesome.
Not literally, of course.
No, but it looked good. I had little firelights in the bush. So,
but you have to clarify for the people who've never seen the front bush. They're like, this dude goes all out. He lights his bush on fire every year.
So, like, we're that neighborhood that people will bring their kids to trick or treat.
Yeah.
So, I guess that's what you call it.
This is where the good candy is, right?
There's full-size candy bars in this neighborhood somewhere. It's a guarantee.
Yeah.
So we set up our little display out front, our table, and I needed a costume, and I did not have one because, again, ADD. So my costume became, I was the DM. Josh made me a wooden DM screen like 5-6 years ago.
Yeah, something like that.
It had little magnets in it so I could put stuff on the inside when I was watching. So I just set that up out front, put a rolling tray in front of me. And as the kids came by, some of the older ones, I let them roll. I had a couple of D20s out there. And if they rolled higher than a 9, I gave them a full-size candy bar. I did give a lot of kids advantage. And there was one I gave double advantage. He looked sad. So I was like, all right, keep rolling. Just till you get higher than a 9, kid.
So remember, this is how you get the DM. Just look sad. That's how you get advantage.
There was a couple of them is like, hey, but if you would like, you can argue for advantage. And they're like, what's advantage? And I was like, let me teach you D&D. So maybe we hooked a couple of new ones.
I just always think about the opening to 8-bit D&D, Dungeons and Dragons, Satan's game.
As your children fall deeper and deeper into the grasp of El Diablo.
Yeah. That's what I think about it every time.
It was fun. And there was a lot of parents that came up, and when they figured it out, they were like, oh, dice. Oh, is this the D&D house? And I was like, now I'm going to have to change the letters on the front of the house. What's your address? The D&D house.
What do you mean you don't know where that is?
Post office is like, what the hell is this?
And that's how you avoid getting bills.
So it was a lot of fun. And I also set up some apple cider rum punch and Jello shots for the adults.
Yeah.
Because dragging these damn baby kids around, that's work.
Got to keep hydrated.
Yeah. So we were here to help. But yeah, it was a good time. The discussion came up several times. When is too old to trick or treat?
I don't know that there is a specific age. Like, this is the hard cutoff. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I think it depends a lot on one setting, but I feel like 18 plus, you shouldn't be trick or treating traditionally without, unless you're chauffeuring kids around.
Not
right?
by yourself.
Because at that point, there are just better Halloween activities to be doing.
Yeah, that totally checks out. Yeah. If you're having to drag the kids around, or you're the big brother or sister that got tagged with it, sure, I'll let that go.
Yeah.
So we had a couple of probably middle school-ish kids that showed up, and my thing was like, look, if you've got a costume on, let me see that you tried a little bit. It doesn't have to be fancy. It doesn't even have to be good.
Yeah.
My favorites are some of the ones that they put on, like the inflatable ones that they wear, like the dinosaurs.
I love them.
And I pray every day that happens and they come by. I want to see a kid fart in their costume.
And then it just circulates.
That is my Halloween wish. I don't know if you can make those.
I'm on board. I will also hope to see that happen.
If you are out there listening, let's manifest this like that secret book. Just got to think about it really hard every year. And if it happens, get video and post it.
Yeah, absolutely. So speaking of D&D, let's talk about some new stuff that's come out and around that.
I was going to lead in with, speaking of things that might be dead. All right, what were you saying?
So Hasbro put out their Q3 earnings statement about their various divisions, and for one of the first times in recent memory, their D&D division was down. Even though we just had the new release of the brand new 2024 Player's Handbook.
We talked about this a couple episodes ago, just talking about how Hasbro has decided to take this IP, and these feel like business decisions, right? The CEO said that he is pushing for this to become an all digital type of product. And I really think that Hasbro is very much out of touch with what a ttrpg gamer wants and why we come back to play these games. I think the Wizards of the Coast division gets it, obviously, because they're gamers. I don't think anybody could look at Jeremy Crawford and not go, that dude plays ttrpgs. As sure as God's got sandals, right?
Yeah. I think I agree that a lot of the issues and controversies that we have with Hasbro in general is from Hasbro, not Wizards. With the recent issues around the Commander format in Magic, and then of course we have the litany of things against the D&D side of things in the past couple of years.
Like the Pinkertons.
So that was Magic.
Still Wizard of the Coast. Yeah.
But yeah, so
I just hadn't mentioned it in like an episode or two, and never forget.
Anyway, with all the things that have happened over the past couple of years, I definitely think that Hasbro has made some questionable decisions when it comes to the community.
Definitely.
I'm curious, though, about how you feel with the newest decision, with the way they've rolled out the 2024 D&D materials.
Like the piecemealing it out?
Yeah.
Well, I'd listened to a couple of creators because there were copies of the DMG sent out early, too. And when they let the Player's Handbook out early, some people started making videos and got like cease and desist from Wizards of the Coast. Like, you're getting free advertising for a product that's coming out by people that we listen to. Again, we don't understand gamers. You know what it reminds me of? Snakes and lattes. They want to make money off of this community without being part of this community. And that, I feel like that traditionally has not worked. But this, like we were talking, staggering the books out.
Yeah.
I got the Player's Handbook, which, okay, I can do some things, work on the conversion from 5e to whatever we're calling this. And then you had to wait for the DMG, which just came out.
Yeah.
All right. So now you got to go through that. But there's still questions in there when it comes to encounters and monster manuals.
Right.
What are we going to be dealing with? I will tell you that the format in the DMG, from what I've seen, I like. The old DMG in 5.0 was very much, hey, here's some stuff. You be the GM and you make it happen.
Yeah.
Here, like rainbows and unicorn poo and whatever they did. And this one definitely goes deeper into the let me show you how to DM is what it feels like from what I've seen. Which is good. But this staggered approach, make a bundle and give it to us, dude.
Yeah, that I am curious about why they did that. I don't know if it's from a production standpoint, like they were only able to get them out produced like each book at one time or something like that. I'm curious though of where the decision came from, because although you can integrate 5e into some of the new stuff, there is clearly a difference in character creation, power level, and balancing and stuff like that.
Yes.
Which, let's be honest, balancing in 5e was never really great.
Oh, no.
Anyway, you always had to play that by ear. So it's not completely different, but I'm just curious of why they didn't put it all together.
Yeah. How many times have they released a pack of books? You know what you're doing. You know how well that worked for people. Why? Yeah. Again, I feel like this is a Hasbro type decision where there's something. I'm sure there's something that is a money consideration.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure. Because at the end of the day, it is still a business. But I wonder, so given their recent findings with their Q3 earnings report, I wonder how much of that has to do with this changeover.
Probably a lot. People do not like to learn new things. Every edition that's come out, I can remember the first couple months, the first year of it. There were a lot of people, even now, there are a lot of people that when 4 came out, they jumped over to Pathfinder and haven't looked back.
Yeah.
Because they're like, I liked 3.5 because I like math. That's all that I can figure.
We're going to have some listener out there who loves Pathfinder and be like, this is bullshit.
I'm not saying it's a bad system. I'm saying it's not the system for me. That's what I mean.
Just saying you like math. I don't know.
Yeah. Is that an insult now? I didn't call you a Nazi or anything. I'm just saying you like math.
I didn't say you wear pocket protectors or anything. God, calm down. But no, seriously, I wonder how much of that has to do with it. How much of the staggered approach, if any, affected that, or if it's just the case of it being a new product and people are not really bought into it.
Maybe. A lot of it too, maybe like we've talked about, there is a track record of them just making mistakes, and not just, hey, we misspelled some stuff in the book, like big mistakes. Like we may have made a race that is somewhat wrong and racist and follows tropes in the real world, and that made people mad. Or we sent the Pinkertons to a guy's house because we made a mistake and somebody got cards they weren't supposed to have. Stuff like that. I think a lot of people, I talked to a guy who hopefully we will have on soon, and he was like, look, here's the deal. I like the 5e edition, so I play that 5e edition. There are lots of options now. If you don't want to support Wizards of the Coast, but you like that game system, there are tons of options for you to get out there and get more content to use and more source books and more ideas. You don't have to support Wizards if you don't want to, and that is perfectly okay and understandable. But Cobalt Press, and there are hundreds of other publishing companies doing it.
Yeah, there was a real explosion of alternative like RPG formats and sources when the whole SRD stuff came out, where there was going to be issues with that. I think that might have been the initial like chink in the armor, if you could say, from D&D, just to really open a lot of people's eyes to see what is out there.
Yeah.
And while I think any kind of competition is really good for this type of business, just because it allows us to get more unique options as well as just forces the players to just be better. So if this is what it takes for D&D to become or to continue to be the best that they can be and to continue to get better, then I'm all for that. Right. And if this allows smaller companies and indie publishers and things like that to get noticed and get on the table, I think that's fantastic.
Yeah. That's another one of these things we talk about all the time. In this community, there is a lot of power, mostly power of the purse, to make publishing companies and make gaming companies try to be better and be some of the best parts of this community. We talked about a lot the Tabletop Workers United up in New York. If you've been following us, you know what's going on. If not, they were employees of Hex & Co., which is a company that owns 3 different gaming cafes, stores up in New York. And the workers were just not being treated well. And again, for the people that own that, I don't think they're gamers. I think they're trying to make money off of this community without respecting the community. So they did form a union, legally went through the whole process. The owners were like, you can't do that. And the federal government is like, yeah, they can. So they took a vote, formed a union, and the owners have refused to come to the negotiating table, which, yeah, again, that's federal law. So it's been back and forth, and there has been a strike promised if things don't change. The owners have openly expressed things like the workers can burn in hell, which is only fun if you're playing in Avernus.
Yeah. Yeah.
Again, stop setting yourself up as the BBEG. It just doesn't go well. Yeah. Snakes and lattes. We will pull the trigger on, you know what? We don't like you, and we will make it a quest for you not to be here and to fail.
Yeah. They have organized a few walkouts as well, just in protest to the way that they've been treated. So I just can't believe that this is still going on.
I can. I absolutely can. Again, think of every D&D campaign you've been in, and at the end of it, I usually go, wow, I do sympathize with the bad guy a lot. Or it's like, how did that take so long?
That's fair.
We were at this for 4.5 years. This is garbage.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's the feeling that I have right now. Like, why? Just treat people like human beings.
Yeah.
Like, I know we've mentioned it a lot, but we caught a lot of that from Snakes and Lattes here in Virginia Beach when they fired all their workers, just treated them like crap. A lot of on their own community board, which a lot of us got accounts on. There was a lot of talk of how silly we were or how stupid we were to be pushing them out of the community, and things like that. I haven't noticed, honestly. We can live without you. We proved it.
Yeah.
And I think it's the same kind of thing that these people do. Is this community, they're just being bratty about stuff. I bet.
Yeah.
Hey, so we brought that up because there is a GoFundMe that they started just to help out the workers if they have to take the strike, if there's some lost wages. We did the same kind of thing for the Snakes and Lattes people.
Yep.
Right now, the post that I saw said that they've raised $700, which
$850.
We're up to $850 now, which is still not a lot.
They've only had 6 donations.
Yeah. We're going to put it out. We'll put it on our Facebook page. We've shared it on our Instagram, I believe. If you're interested, please show them that this community takes care of our own. And I understand if you cannot give, but at least share. Maybe somebody in your circle would be interested and can help out. And hey, if you like a couple of dudes sitting around talking about games, have I got a thing for you?
Yeah, so we want to shout out some friends of ours over at another board game podcast, the brothers over at Board Game Famous.
The stated goal of their podcast is to get famous enough to get free games.
Yeah.
So it obviously worked out because they got a copy of Bark Avenue to review. We saw this up at Gen Con.
Yeah.
It is you're a dog walker. You have to get good reviews. You want to take good care of the dogs. You have to clean up the dog poo, which they have miniatures for.
Yeah.
Tokens, little wooden.
Let's call them tokens. Yeah.
Little wooden poop tokens. Now, I have this just natural aversion and kind of a rule that we don't cover poop-centric games, which there are far too many of out there.
They really are.
But I'm going to let this one slide because it also has dogs, and good doggos are hard to find. Not really.
Arguably, we're not covering it, though. They did, but...
Go over and check them out. Again, great podcast, really in-depth. There are times where I feel like our podcasts, we're goofballs with stuff, but this is the way we like it. They do some really good deep dives into games and talk about where a lot of these games come from and their favorites, and they really get into mechanics of the games. And if you are into that and you like that sort of thing, this could be a great podcast for you to check out. And hey, they're doing a giveaway, so go try to get you a copy of Bark Avenue. And next up, games we play.
Thunder Road Vendetta. Designed by Dave Chalker. Brett Myers, Noah Cohen, Rob DeVoe, Justin D. Jacobson, Jim Kiefer, and Brian Neff, with art by Marie Bergeron and Garrett Kaida. Just like a new coat of paint, Thunder Road Vendetta puts some new gloss on the classic 1986 game from Milton Bradley. In this version, you play as a crew in one of the gnarliest, dirtiest, and most dangerous races in the wasteland. The track laid out in front of you offers plenty of dangers and pitfalls, provided by two-sided road boards that make every run just a little bit different. Your crew consists of 3 road vehicles: the small Doom Buggy, the medium Avenger, and the large Eliminator, as well as 1 attack chopper, in case someone gets a little cocky. The goal is simple: have one of your road vehicles cross the finish line first, or be the last crew with a functional vehicle. But if the track doesn't get you, another crew might. Later expansions add more chaos, crew leaders, the big rig, and the Final 5 motorcycle game. But hey, you're not ready for that yet, Slick. First, you have to prove you can drive.
So this is a game that I have wanted for a while. I played it, oh God, it was like a year and a half ago or something.
It was last year's Gen Con.
Yeah, so it's been
A little over a year now.
not too bad. That's really not too bad. This is the Mad Max game without the Mad Max name, right? It's like Nemesis and Aliens.
Yeah.
Post-apocalyptic, desert racing. And when we say racing, it's not just get in front of other people. It's run them over, shoot at them, bring in a helicopter. It's just a lot of fun. It's chaos, in board game form. And playing it was just great. We've gotten it here and broken it out because we did pick it up at Gen Con this year. And we picked up the Maximum Chrome edition, which adds the current expansions that are out too. We'll talk a little bit about them at the end, but we're going to focus on the base game right now as we talk about in this segment, which you can go out and find that base game. It's pretty cheap right now for about $60. And then if you do want to go get Maximum Chrome, which I would highly recommend, you're looking about $160 if you can find it. I looked at eBay at one point before we went to Gen Con, and somebody was selling it for $450 because there are garbage human beings in this world.
Yeah, so we're, of course, talking about Thunder Road Vendetta.
Yes.
If you guys have not had a chance to see this game, it's by Restoration Games, who is known for taking older games, remaking them, giving them new life, and getting them out into the hands of people. So this game is first based off of the original Thunder Road game by Milton Bradley that came out in 1986. So it's definitely an oldie, but looking at the old game, it's so cool to see how they kept a lot of the pieces of the old game, like as far as the name of the cars and all that, all is pulled over. The way the boards actually function, where you slide them in at the end, that all came from the original game. And then they've added a more modern spin on it with a lot of the features and stuff that are in the game. This game's fantastic. Yeah,
it really is. Talking about setup, it set up pretty quick as well. The actual board that you're using, I love the way that it works. It comes out in multiple pieces, right? So you have a starting piece that you will always use, and they're two-sided, so you get a little bit of variety. And then you put 2 more of the starting pieces, or you put 2 more of the board pieces out, connect them together. They like slide together, and that is your road that you're racing on. And if you get to the end of the road and you need more road, you just pull another tile, put that on there, get rid of the last tile, so you're always running on 3 tiles.
Right. And the game continues to play like that until one person is eliminated.
Yep.
And then you put in the finish line at the end of the last road tile. So that way there's the end of your game. So you can either win by crossing the finish line or by eliminating everyone else but yourself.
I really like that too, the mechanic of when somebody is out.
Yeah.
Your finish line goes down, like no matter what, because it doesn't become Monopoly. You just keep running the board and keep running. So when you're out, you probably won't have to wait that long till the game is finished. And then as a group, you can move on to whatever, set it up again, play a new game, whatever. When you get across the finish line as well, you only have to have one of your road vehicles
Right.
Because you start off the base game, you get 3 road vehicles, small, medium, and large, and then also a helicopter, which we'll talk a little bit about when we're talking gameplay. The road is, of course, not great.
No, I really, that's one thing that I like is the different variation in the tiles and stuff like that. But it definitely feels very much apocalyptic wasteland. Like this type of road. Like, there's no DOT, you know what I'm saying? That's what.
Nobody's fixing this shit.
Yeah. So there are some really cool dice as well that affect everything from when you run into other cars to which way your car is forced to move when you run into hazards and things like that. As well as like just the cars themselves, like they look really good. They're all a color of whatever the crew you pick. Then they've got like a wash on them.
Yeah.
So that way they look that grungy Mad Max feel.
Road Warrior, baby.
Yeah, yeah. So the Maximum Chrome Edition, which is the big one that we got, comes with the expansions that are currently out for the game. So those expansions include the Big Rig and the Final 5, which adds another faction you can play, or 2 more factions that you can play. One of them is a giant connected tractor trailer that has different rules for as you take damage, parts of it can become disabled. But really, that thing's just a beast.
It is. And it's, what was that? There was a movie that had, Mad Max. With the tanker truck, and then later on in Fury Road. They get it so close. Same sort of thing.
Yeah. And then it also comes with a crew that is just 5 motorcycles. That's the Final 5, which allows you some more mobility. The problem is you can only take 1 point of damage per motorcycle. It's obviously a motorcycle. It doesn't take much.
And when that happens, you're disabled. You're not eliminated. So you could come back. There's a repair function.
Yeah.
So
the next expansion is the Carnage at Devil's Run.
Which that one adds some new elements to the game. It introduces things like the fire element. Your car can catch on fire. It doesn't necessarily destroy your car. And in fact, most of the dice rolls are going to move your car forward. But it's involuntary and you can only go straight, which can be a real problem. It also can disable your car or the fire just goes out. There's also a lot of new tiles that go down. There are hazards on the board, and when you hit those, you flip them over to see what they are. Usually in the base expansion, it's like a mine, or there may be a wreck that you put in there. This one introduces new stuff like tremors, which basically you roll the direction dice, and everybody on the board moves that direction. All right? And then there's also the sandworm, where if you flip that, whoever's in the back gets eliminated. That one's a lot of fun. It just, like I said, adds more to the game, which is what expansions do for those of you that didn't know. It also gets some new road tiles out there too, so your road could be more varied.
Yeah, and then the next one is the Chop Shop, which this one adds crew leaders.
Mm-hmm.
So normally when you choose your crew, it's all the same across the board. Doesn't matter, just a different color. This adds a little bit of variation in that, where each crew leader has a special ability. One of them, for instance, allows you to reroll the shooting dice. The other one will, when you get into a wreck, if you get sent off in a bad direction, you can reroll the direction die and change that. So that one's really cool. That adds a little bit of an asymmetric element to it, which I think is really cool when you're talking about, especially in games like this.
It also adds upgrade cards to continue that more customization of what you're doing.
Yeah.
And then the next 2 are like mini expansions that came out. One of them is called Extra Ammo. You basically have a few different decks of cards that you can draw from that will have status effects, things like that. There are like bounty cards that you can complete a bounty and then you get to play a card, and it may be something that, something that gives you a bonus in that part of the race. And then the German engineering basically replaces your movement dice and your shooting dice for a deck of cards, and it removes a little bit of the randomness from the game.
Yeah.
For those of you that want something more engineered.
If you want more strategy in your crazy hybrid Mad Max game.
Right?
Sure.
Sounds German, I'm just saying.
Yeah. So let's get into the game here, and let's talk about our kind of ratings. What are some of the things we liked about it? All that sort of good stuff. So let's talk value just right off the bat. So we picked this up at Gen Con. I believe we did pay the $160.
We got a little bit of a discount. I think we paid $140 for it.
Okay. So with that, there's a lot of game in this box. It's a big box.
Right. And again, the Maximum Chrome edition with the extra expansions is really awesome that they went back and redesigned it, because all of the trays inside fit everything so well. Like, it is very well packaged. Everyone knows how much we appreciate that. So that part of it was really cool. And again, we got all the extra pieces, but even the standard box fits really well. And there is still a lot of gameplay in just the standard.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we've played the standard version a few times now. And I like that it's only probably a 30-minute to maybe an hour. Like, that's usually where our games fall, and that's even playing with 4 players is what we ran it with last time. I think the game box says 30 to 75 minutes, so I could see if you got some analysis paralysis people, maybe. We were more like, yeah, we on the road, we gonna go.
Nobody was scared about, I don't know if I want to shoot somebody yet. No, at every opportunity.
Yeah. I liked how quick it was and how varied that things were too, because you could mix up your road tiles, you could shuffle them up and randomly place them out as they came out, which really makes the game a little bit different every time, even in regards to which path you can go and stuff like that. The different hazards that do come up, of course, are randomized. Every time it's something different.
Yeah. And like we said, it just, you can get a lot of good times out of this. And everybody that I've seen play it, everybody that I've heard talk about it, the vast majority of them really enjoyed the game. And a lot of it was because of that chaos factor that happens. And it's just cool. I'm going to race in a destruction derby of chaos and gunfire. And a lot of people, I think, would really like that.
Yeah, I think even at the $160 for the Maximum Chrome Edition, I think is well worth it.
Mm-hmm.
So for value for me, I'm definitely going to give it a 9.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. There's just so much game in this box. Even with a base game at $60, like, that's an average price for a well-produced game.
Yeah, right now, if you get a good game that I feel is in that kind of standard category.
Yeah.
Because Lord knows, you can get small box games too that are cool. And then you've got some that just, we're going to give you all the stuff. Like, we're going to make this part of your life for the next 3 years. Those will be a little bit more expensive, and those probably hitting that 160 mark. But you can definitely replay this one a lot.
Yeah, and it still comes with the molded cars and all that stuff, as well as Restoration Games is known for having good components and good trays and things like that for keeping everything nice and organized. But yeah, I definitely think the value on this one is extremely high.
And we're rolling right into components with that. Like we talked about the cars, they are molded. You get 3 cars in your crew and a helicopter. So you have a small, medium, and large, and that can affect stuff within the game. Certain how events and stuff will affect you. Your helicopter is basically just there to go take shots at things.
Yeah.
Which is fun. It just gives you an extra element that you can use. The board tiles themselves, we talked about how they link together. Yeah. It's clean.
It really is. It seems like they took something that had a pretty good base.
Mm-hmm.
And really just improved in so many different areas, but kept the things that were already good about it the same. I really like just the overall aesthetic of the game. Looks really good, but your cards are really good quality. Like, your cars and stuff are really cool with the way that they look and the different colors and stuff. It just really looks that kind of Mad Max themed.
Yeah.
But everything about this game is just really clean. For me, I think components are a solid 8.5. There's nothing in it that goes, oh my God, this is amazing, to really blow me out of the water. But everything is just really well done and is done to a certain level that I expect pretty much for Restoration Games.
Exactly. At this point, that's what they're known for and what they do. I like the components. Like you said, nothing's really like mind-blowing or new, but everything is fun.
Yeah.
Even when you get like your crew cards and stuff that put in front of you, the way those work, the way that you assign your movement dice, and then just how when you make your movement, you slide it down so you know that you've used that car this round and stuff. Like, everything is very well thought out, and it just works. And like I said, it's just a lot of fun to put it on the table. Yeah. I also like, again, this is one of those games you can have people all the way around the game, and everybody can see what's going on. You don't have to turn things. You don't have to have people
Yeah.
picking up cards and reading them from the other side of the table, stuff like that. It's maybe a minor thing, and I understand that with a lot of games you have to set up that way, but
Right.
because of the nature of this game and how it works, that's great. There are times when you're like drawing tokens for like damage and things like that, but it doesn't matter. You're going to pick up off the pile and go.
Yeah.
Yeah, components look really good. I also do too. I know we've talked about the road tiles. They are two-sided. So when you shuffle them, when you pull out a tile, it's something new every time.
Yeah.
And I really I like it. And they're, again, clean. You can understand exactly what every piece is supposed to be. It's not overly complicated.
So let's talk gameplay. This game is chaotic.
Yes.
Intentionally. And I think that really plays into the theme of what it is. There is a lot of dice rolling when it comes to interacting with objects and other cars, which I think plays into that element.
Yeah.
Now, as we talked about, the German engineering can mitigate some of those factors and takes it to more of a deck of cards instead of true dice rolling. But honestly, for me, I think this game thrives on that random.
The chaos, again, as its source material suggests, anybody can try anything at any time. You don't know where it's coming from. Your best laid plans are not.
Yeah.
The game functions in rounds, so everybody gets a chance at the table. On your turn, you can activate one of your vehicles.
Yep.
Every turn, you get your 4 movement dice. You roll them at the beginning of the round, and then you assign them as you go. That'll determine how far your car can go. There's also some extra that's in there. So when you lose a vehicle, whether it's disabled or eliminated, you can still use all 4 of your dice in a round, even if you're only down to your last vehicle.
Yeah.
Thanks to the coast function, where you can put a dice in there and get to move an extra spot forward, or the command function that you can do once a round.
Yeah.
The command function lets you boost your car, repair a car, drift, which is where you can pass through a car and not slam, which we'll talk about in just a second, or you can put your helicopter down and start shooting at people.
Yeah. I think the slamming mechanic is anytime your car or one car runs into another car or into a wreck, you roll, there are 2 dice. One of them will say whether the car that is on top or the car on bottom is the one affected.
Right.
And then the next one is a direction die.
So the way the components work as well, which I really liked, because there are 3 different sizes of vehicle, you slam, you stack your vehicles. If you're the one that moved into the space, you go on top of the car, and they fit. Like, it works really well.
Yeah. And if your vehicle is the larger of the vehicles in the collision, you have the option to be able to get 1 re-roll of those 2 dice. So if you don't like the results and want to try again, you can go for it. I really like this element to it because it makes this fun little like situation where you're like, I don't know exactly what's going to happen, but there's an opportunity that I can send this car off the map.
Or if you're in a group of cars, if you get bounced into another tile and there's another car there, you resolve the slam again.
Yeah.
So that can keep going. That's a chain reaction, especially when you've got 4 people on the map. You're talking 12 road cars.
Yeah. I remember, so there was one instance when we were playing that I embodied this whole thing for me. So there was a path on the board that we were playing. You could either go to the right or left of this like mountain, basically. And the right side and the left side was only 2 lanes wide going beside it. On the one side, it had hazards on both sides, or in both lanes. And when we flipped the hazards over as people were going through them, they were both the oil slicks, which when you hit an oil slick, you roll the direction dice, and that's the way your car moves. So to pass through that area, you were going to slide somewhere. And if you slid any like one direction, your car gets destroyed.
You're eliminated.
Yeah, but there were elements like if you slid the other direction, you could be fine. So I tried to take one of my cars through there because I couldn't get over to the other side. And the first roll that I made, it pushed me into the other oil slick that was adjacent. The next roll that I made pushed me back. So I went forward with my movement again and rolled again. And then it pushed me off the map. Right. So it's this kind of thing. Like some people may find that frustrating that, there was nothing I could do, but I'm all for that. That makes thematically so much sense that just sometimes stuff goes bad when you're in the middle of this kind of setting.
Yeah.
But I liked that element of that randomness, that there was an opportunity, right? At any given time, there was a 40% chance that I was going to make it out the other side. After 3 rolls, I just didn't. And that happens. But I still felt like that really embodied this element of the game. Now, some people may find that frustrating. And there are situations on some of the maps where if the wrong hazards get put out, there's nothing you can do.
Right.
Right. Yeah. You're going to have some element of randomness, and that randomness may put that car out of the game.
Yeah. There are times, like you said, this is where you are, the hazards flip, and the best thing you can do is just put the hammer down and wish for the best.
Yeah. And that just is what it is.
Yeah.
You can only have so many plans until you run into these different elements and hazards. In the case with the helicopter and stuff too, sometimes you might be clearly ahead. And that was another game that we played. One of the people playing with us was clearly in the lead.
Yeah.
There was no way we were going to be able to stop him with anything but helicopters. So we all kept putting our helicopters up there. It was the smallest vehicle, which is the hardest to hit. Finally, one of us was able to hit him. And I think the damage was the one that launched him. So with that, you roll this dice. It tells you how many spaces you get launched. And then you roll the direction die. And he got launched right off the map. So like there are elements of those. And that part could be frustrating to people as well. But at the end of the day, that really embodies this type of game.
Yeah. I like it because there's never a clear winner before there is a clear winner.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And I like that a lot because the game's going to keep playing until there's a lot of games where as it's nearing the end, you can look over. Like the first couple times we played with Sam with Forges of Ravenshire. By the end of the second season, we're looking at our pile of stuff. We're looking at his pile of stuff. And we're like, oh, we obviously have missed something in this game. That doesn't happen in this game. Yeah. Which, again, Forges of Ravenshire, great game. Learn to play it. Good times. Not taking a knock on that, but I'm saying there are games where
this
you
is
see a
not
clear
your
winner.
Strategy game.
Yeah. There's a couple elements of strategy that come in with that command function that you have, but it's a one-time shot per round.
Yeah, this is not you can choose every single element of what you're going to do, and this is the way it's going to work out. This is not that kind of game. This game does not take itself seriously, and you shouldn't either as you're playing it.
But you do get a little bit of planning. I do like that you do get a little bit of that, oh, I have some stuff I can do. Yeah. And I think that keeps it really fresh as you're playing. And like you said, whatever you plan is great, but you do have the board to deal with, not to mention other people who have guns.
Yeah. So for gameplay, again, I think I give it an 8, just because there are elements about it I think people may not like. Mm-hmm. But I think if you go into this with look, I'm not here to win, I'm just here to have a good time, I think you get a lot more out of this game just because the experience of it and just the whole aesthetics of what it is definitely fit perfectly for the theme.
Solid 8, easy enough. It's very much Warhammer 40K orc players. They don't care if they win or lose. They're just here for a good fight.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Approach it like that, and I think you will definitely have a good time. If you're one of those, I got to win all the games people, first, go to therapy. I think there's something you need to talk to somebody about, but there's no guarantee.
Yeah, yeah.
So, and I feel like most of the people that we game with and the ones that we know get that, and they are here for a good time.
Yeah, and I think whether you win or lose this game, I think it creates fun stories. And at the end of the day, I think that's a hallmark of a great game as well.
Yeah.
Is when it'll do that. So let's talk replayability. As we've mentioned a few times, with the variation on the road tiles, the variation on the hazards, plus the expansions, when you're talking about the Maximum Chrome Edition, the replayability is really through the roof on this.
Oh my gosh, yes. Playing as the big rig, there are different rules for the big rig in that final 5 as well. And it makes it a lot more fun. You get good at or get to a good understanding of the base, and then you throw that in there, and somebody's playing that and gets to learn a little bit more. The big rig functions and handles differently because obviously it's a big rig. Again, there's plenty of movie references, at least 2 I can think of, that And it really embodies that in the rules that are with it. And again, like you've got a bunch of like dudes on motorcycles. Again, seen that in cinema. They're flying all over the place. They're easy to knock out if you can hit them.
Yeah.
And then the rest of it that adds on carnage in the goal or whatever. More game tiles, more damage types, more obstacles and stuff that you can hit.
Yeah.
Expands the game really. Just that one in itself is great. And then crew leaders, you have special abilities.
Right. There is, with just the expansion, and the expansions are really well done as well. With the expansions, there is a ton of replayability with this game. I think I would give it probably a solid 9.
Yeah.
Because I think you could get at least 10 plays out of this before it starts to feel even slightly stale.
I don't even know if I would call it stale. I would probably give it a little bit more than that too. With all the things we've talked about already, your initial setup is 3 cars, and like I said, different sizes that may change what they do and how they're affected by stuff. And I've watched on the board as we've played that a couple of people, we've tried different strategies, right?
Yeah.
Like round 1 coming out of the gate, nobody can shoot anybody, right? Your guns don't go active until round 2. And I've seen people take their full size, their big car, and try to push it as far as they could. I've seen some people take the little doom buggy, which is your smallest vehicle, and try to push that as far as it can and hope that it's nobody shoots it off the map, stuff like that. So I think it may even get a little bit more than that as you try to figure out your play style with this. Right. And how you want to affect it. I will tell you what I usually do is little car up front, and then the big car and the medium car kind of supporting. So if somebody gets in front of me, trying to take them out. Especially, I'll intentionally slam with my big car if I know, because I know I'm going to get that re-roll if things don't go my way.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff. Yeah. Definitely a lot of replayability and a lot of fun replayability for a long time. Even if you get used to the game, it's definitely one that everybody has enjoyed breaking out.
Yeah, for sure. Overall rating. I think given everything we've talked about with all the different pieces and just the way the game is made, the gameplay, just whole 9 yards, I really think this one is a solid 9. There are a couple things that people may not enjoy about it, just to randomness or just the unlucky factor of things that can happen. But again, if you play this game with the understanding of, look, this is a Mad Max game, crazy stuff's going to happen, we're going to come out the other side, win or lose, with a story of how we somehow managed to navigate or not this road. I think you will come out of there with a whole lot better experience and appreciation than if you went into it going, I'm going to strategize this game and we're going to win every time.
Absolutely no meta to this. There just can't be.
Yeah.
And the randomness too, one thing where we have played games where there was nothing but randomness, and those exist. This isn't so much that.
Right.
It is, I think it's more like you said, surprises and you being adaptable to your plan.
Yeah.
Which again gives you some kind of agency and some kind of strategy, which makes it fun. But yeah, solid 9. Everybody has liked it. So the expansion for this finished its Kickstarter back in February. It was, again, really popular, and it adds a Thunderdome.
Yeah, so this is the new Carnival of Chaos that they should be shipping now this month to all the backers around the world. It adds a element of that Thunderdome where you start on a traditional track, but all the cars race into this giant arena, and then it's like a demolition derby style, last man standing sort of thing.
Yeah,
which is, I think, a very unique element. I'm interested to look more into the gameplay and see some of that on it, but it definitely might be something, if they have it at PAX, we'll probably look at picking it up.
Oh yeah, absolutely. We'll do a special mini episode if it's as good as we think it is. Like, really, with everything they're putting into this game and everything they're doing, if you enjoyed stuff like the Mad Max, I can tell you that this game, the only thing it's really missing is pig shit as fuel and Tina Turner. Hey, so now it's everybody's favorite time. We're going to talk about our crowdfunding roundup.
So today we got 3 more awesome projects for you guys. First up, we got a really nice dice set, or even some individuals that look like stained glass.
For all you dice dragons out there.
Yep. And then we have a couple of games. One of them is a wacky take on your standard dungeon crawl adventuring tale. And then we have a Viking themed game where you are attempting to travel over seas that are infested with monsters.
So let's open up with Cathedral Dice. I know there are people that love dice, and we've talked about it before. We've got we've got dice goblins who want all the clickety clackety math rocks. We've got dice dragons who are very particular about their math rocks. I feel like this could go either way, but they are really gorgeous dice.
Yeah, so the Cathedral dice are sharp-edged resin dice, but have the style that looks like traditional stained glass windows. They're absolutely beautiful. One thing that I do like that this company did was they make a stand that you can put like one of the D20s in or something like that to really show it off.
Mm-hmm.
I could just picture like having one of these dice and setting it up where the sunlight comes through it and makes like a nice, like fancy colored prism on the other side. But these things are absolutely gorgeous. They come in 3 different colors, and you got a couple options of what you can pick from.
They're also the free floating core dice as well, which is probably a big reason why they are as expensive as what they are, because they're cast twice. The core is cast and then the outside's cast. They're both painted in that stained glass look. The holder you were talking about apparently goes specifically with the D20 chunky dice, their words, not mine, that you can get as part of a set or individually.
Look, I am a fan of large D20s, as my machined aluminum one can attest to.
Yeah, and it's a 35 millimeter dice, so there's some heft there.
So yeah, let's talk about the tiers. First up, we have the first tier at $35. This is your choice of 3 matching D6s. Those are the baseline tier for them to be able to get some dice in this beautiful style. So 3 D6s, you're looking at half a set for what you would need for your rogues. Let's be honest, they're going to need more D6s.
This would be great, too, if you are like a Warhammer player. I was considering just the Acolyte offering to mix into my bag that I use when I'm playing a Sisters of Battle army.
Ooh, yeah,
I think that would be appropriate. Or if you play a lot of Fate Core, something like that, you could use them, although Fate Core is more dots on their dice. But yeah, 3d6 can definitely spice up your latest Fireball or your Sneak Attack.
So the next one is at $65. This is where you can get one of those D20 chunky dice.
Yeah, it is the pinnacle of strength and dedication, so they say. $65. I don't think that's bad for a die like that.
No, because I think that's about what I paid for the one that I had, for sure. And it doesn't look near as pretty as this one, just to be fair.
So if you do want the full standard 7-piece set, you're looking at $85. Which again, for a nice set of dice, I think the Onyx dice that I have, the black on black, were about $100.
Yeah.
So you're still in the same kind of price range there. And it is just your standard polyhedral 7-set dice that all our gamers know. $85.
And this does come with a really nice box to keep them in as well. That's got like a magnetic clasp. So it's not just like you're going to get dice in a little baggie. So it is something to keep them in that does look really nice.
Yep. And then moving on up to the Cathedral Vanguard. Your choice of a 7-piece set, one of the chunk dice, a complimentary display stand so that you can show off that D20.
Yeah. Again, put it in front of a window. It'll be great. Trust me.
I do find it amusing. It's a complimentary display stand. No, dude, I'm paying for it. Just give me my stuff.
Yeah. All right. And then the last tier is the Big Daddy. If you want everything that they got, this is the tier for you. So for $410, you get your choice of 3 7-piece sets, 3 D20 chonk dice, plus the 3 display stands, and you even get 3 of their fake tokens, which are just a coin that's got a D20 on it. One side's got a 20, one side's got a 1.
Right, the good old 50-50.
Yep. And you can get that whole set for the $410. So that is everything that they are running in this Kickstarter. All the different colors. You could have it all if that is what you so desire.
And when you go big on dice, there are sets of dice out there, just a single 7-piece set that'll run you $300-$400.
For sure.
Those are your talking artesian dice, something like that. Even again, Forges of Ravenshire, the gemstone dice set was what, $400-$450?
I feel like it was something like that, yeah.
So again, for you dice dragons out there, this is something that is fantastic. You could also get them for gifts if you don't think you need 3 sets for yourself. But that's going to be up to you. It's like pouring tequila. You don't go by measurement. You go by what your heart says.
So the next project we got for you today is Fable Fury, a cooperative roguelike board game. So roguelikes have been something that has gained in popularity lately, both in the video game world as well as in the board game world. Even some of those crossing over things like Slay the Spire and Dead Cells. What a roguelike game is, where every time you play it or you engage with the game, it is different. So in video games, it's usually procedural generated dungeons. In terms of board games, it's usually a deck of cards that changes the room that you're entering or something like that.
Very much like Heroes of Arcadia, where you start out building your board with whatever the components are.
Right. So in this game, you and up to 4 other adventurers are basically portal hopping to try and find all the coolest loot that you can throughout all the different realms.
Because the 2 things to remember about adventurers: 1, there has to be a tragic backstory because happy people don't adventure, and 2, you're doing it for the money, baby.
Yeah, so this game looks really interesting. I will say that the promotion video that they have has some fantastic humor in it. Like, very well done, guys. Very well done. But this game looks really interesting. It's very much a lighthearted take on your traditional dungeon crawler. So there are some kind of like tongue-in-cheek elements to the different rooms and things that you can discover, as well as the treasure you can find, and honestly, even the heroes that you play as. But this one looks very interesting. So as you're playing, you take your hero and you guys dive into the next adventure. The game tells you how to set it up, and then you move room by room, uncovering what is actually there. There is some dice rolling elements in it when you're trying to defeat monsters. Also, you can upgrade your heroes with different abilities and things that you collect along the way. And of course, all the different loot that you can find throughout the adventure.
So let's talk about what you're going to pay to play this. The initial for just the game is about $60, which we've talked about. That's a good standard for a well done board game.
Yeah. This definitely looks like there's a lot of game in the box here. Being a game that every play is different, I think you're going to get quite a good number of plays out of this before you would feel like it's pretty much the same.
If you were to pledge in the first 3 days, you had premium coin added to your pledge manager for free. I think you can still put it in as an add-on, and it's a commemorative coin.
The collector's coin.
Yeah, great. Go for that. Next up is the collector's bundle, which gets you a copy of the game, and it also gets you a Kickstarter exclusive Enemies Unleashed expansion, which adds 36 new enemy cards, some new mechanics, and a bigger challenge.
You also get the collector's coin included in that bundle as well, in that $99. And then going on to the next one, you get their everything bundle, which for $145 comes with everything that the collector bundle has, but adds 60 premium metal coins, so as the currency in the game, and then adds the Besties versus Baddies character expansion. So it includes new challenges, rivalries, 6 dual-layered hero mats, 3 monster mats, some double dial counters, and some single dial counters.
Oh, they always get us with the mats and the metal coins.
So this one really upgrades the components to the game. They're in the updates to the Kickstarter, they were talking about their stretch goals, and one of the stretch goals is to be able to put the dual layered player mats in every single edition. which, as we've talked about before, games that have those dual layered player mats are fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
Especially like this game where you have elements that are sitting on your map constantly. It gives them a place to go and keep from sliding around if the table is bumped or something like that. So given how well the project is doing so far, they may actually reach that and get that in everyone. But just in case, if you want to make sure that you get it, the 145 tier is going to be for you.
They're looking at shipping in October 2025, a little less than a year. Again, I feel like that's pretty standard for Kickstarter.
Yeah.
That's a pretty good run. It looks like a lot of fun. The artwork is great. It's very kind of cartoonish artwork. Yeah, go check this one out, and good luck.
Yeah, I will say the one thing about this game that I think really sealed the deal for wanting to look at it is they do actually include a shop in the game where your heroes can go and buy upgrades and things. And let's be honest, what adventure is not complete without a shopping episode?
Yes. All right, so from fun and shopping into Viking bloodlust. Sea Beast, Vikings versus Beast. You're talking about an ocean crawler co-op, which, I mean, sounds like a dungeon crawler, only slightly wetter.
Yeah, so obviously fans of cooperative games, especially ones that pit you against monsters, big or small. And this one, I think, has a really unique campaign scenario and setting in it, where you are trying to travel across this monster-infested sea by using this almost grid map. And as you move your boat across, you will flip certain cards over depending on what the space is that you go into. And those cards could be monsters, or they could be all sorts of different things. But as you make your way across this ocean to try and get to the other side, you will continuously have to fight off these creatures, engaging your Viking bloodlust to do more damage, and then also at the same time trying to keep your ship repaired so that it doesn't sink to all the attacks and things that are happening to it.
I do like as well, like leaning into that ocean crawler, you're determining your like your path, your chosen where you want to go through that map that is dry erase. You can wipe it off every time you do it, but I really like the way that mechanic seems to work.
Yeah, and this game has some fantastic looking minis, and you know how much we love minis.
Right. Even coming out of the standard box, you get the wooden, like, screen printed minis for your characters, and as well as like wooden tokens for to match your health and your bloodlust. Really good. If you do upgrade, which we'll talk about in just a second, the sculpts for the creatures that you have to fight, those look amazing. And they're a pretty good size. Like, it's like an 80 millimeter mini that goes alongside it.
Yeah, they're large.
To scale, baby.
To scale. But yeah, let's talk about pledges real quick. So first up in your base pledge is going to be $49. So that's your price to entry. It saves you about 25% off the MSRP of the game. It is the base version of this game.
Which still, when you're talking about the base version of this, what comes in the box looks really good. Like, you're talking wooden tokens automatically. It just playable, and it still has a really good table presence.
Yeah.
It is a 1 to 2 player game in the base form, though.
I think, until you get up to the expansion.
So you can also bump up to the heroic pledge, which really, you start getting a lot of the fancy stuff. You get the Sea Beast Bloody Voyage. You get the large foil, the heroic box with new artwork, the Wilderness expansion, which gives you access to 4 more characters. It's still a 1 to 2 player game at this point. You get trays for all of your cards. You get the legendary Beast minis that we were talking about, and the deluxe Beast dice. That's $99. I think for all of that, you're still looking really good just for the minis.
Yeah, this is your base price of entry for a minis game. Because if you look at games, especially ones that include large, highly detailed minis, if you're not around $100 with it, I'm very surprised. The minis probably aren't good quality at that point, honestly. But for a game like this, with the upgrades, including some really nice custom dice trays for cards and stuff as well, there's some really nice stuff at the heroic level. Like you said, it does add that one expansion in there as well that gives you some more character options. So definitely Heroic seems, if minis are an important part of the game to you, if you like that table presence, then definitely Heroic's the way to go.
Yeah. Yep. And then only one more tier to talk about, and that is the Legendary Pledge, or all-in gameplay. Gets you everything that you're already getting in the pledges before, the trays, the foil box, but you're also going to get sun-dropped, colored Legendary Beast minis, the Wilderness expansion, and then the Bloody Waters and the Rocky Waters expansion. This pledge also bumps you up to a 6-player game.
Yeah, this also includes some weapon upgrades, some the deluxe beast parts and submerged tokens, large metal attack dice. This is some really cool stuff that they added into this. I know a lot of times when we talk about campaigns, it can be difficult to look at the difference between pledge levels. Like, you got to go, is the difference between the pledge level at $100 versus $150, is it really worth it to me? I think this does that really well.
Yeah, it does. And the game looks like it's a lot of fun. One of the things that I really liked about it is this is a campaign type game. Like, you're going to play multiple sessions on this one.
Yeah.
To kind of work through it. Looks like a lot of fun. I like the characters. My favorite character that I think, if we back this, I think I want to play Boy. Straight up Boy. He sneaks on board your ship, trying to become a man. Or no, trying to become the man he admired, which was his dad, apparently, that got lost. And it's up to you to teach him to survive and to fight. Cool. I'll be a little kid stabbing some stuff. But then there's the warrior, the boatman, the archer, typical mystic, druid, berserker. It feels like a lot of options there and looks like a lot of fun. They are looking, again, at delivering sometime around September of 2025. And by the time you hear this, there will probably be about 25 days left in it. Hey, one more that we're going to throw in here as a honorable mention. By the time you hear this, it's entirely possible that there's only a couple of days left. But Dice Throne has come out with another box. This one is the Dice Throne Outcasts. 4 new characters that you can play. The Pale Lady, which looks like a werewolf flip to the other side type character. Yeah. The Headless Horseman, the Ravenous, and the Necromancer. So new stuff, custom characters, what's not part of any other IP, kind of Dice Throne getting back to Dice Throne, the originals. Yeah. And you also get a new Dice Throne Adventures Unchained kind of expansion if you've got that Dice Throne Adventures where it becomes a PvE type game. Go check this one out. $50 just to get the new heroes. If you want the expansion as well, it's $70. And then there are some bundles that you can look at where you get Dice Throne Adventures as well for $100. And then there's an all the new things bundle for $120. And then if you got $575 and you haven't gotten any Dice Throne, you can get it all. If you don't want to miss out on Season 1 and Season 2, Dice Throne Adventures, the new Unchained, all of it, go drop some money. That's what we recommend because we do stupid stuff like that all the time.
And Dice Throne is one of our favorite games.
Mm-hmm.
We've enjoyed it. We've played it a lot. We have a lot of the different expansions and content for it. In fact, still waiting on our X-Men pledge to come in, hopefully first part of next year. So this is one of those projects. If you've ever played Dice Throne, definitely check this one out. If you haven't, go watch some videos and consider it. It's a fantastic game.
Yeah, it is. Hey, in Manny we trust. And with that,
as Machine Gun Joe Esquire, you squeeze the trigger and you're Avenger, the last car in your crew.
You roll the shooting dice and miss. The last member of the Final 5 motorcycle gang speeds away. But now you're going to activate your special power and roll again, this time decimating that bike as you laugh maniacally.
But your celebration is short-lived as Bumpo the Clown slams into you with his Eliminator and begins to resolve. The slam dice chooses your car to move, and the direction pushes you into an impassable space right off the cliff.
As you plummet to your demise, you swear you can hear that unmistakable sound of a clown horn being honked, and watch as Bumpo waves goodbye and speeds across the finish line.
For the Dapper Meeple, I'm Josh.
And I'm Jim. Good night, everyone.
Thanks everyone for sticking around and listening to our show.
If you enjoyed it, let me ask you a favor. Follow us and leave a like wherever you get your podcasts. It'll really help us out.
And if you have anything to say back to us, you can find us on Instagram and Facebook by searching for the Dapper Meeple. Or you can email us at dappermeeplegaming@gmail.com.
And as always, we'll save you a seat at the table.